Hi, it's noon on Wednesday, Pacific, anyway, and it is Writing Wednesday. I'm Janet Fitch, and I do this every week, and it's become, on the quarantine uh, side of things, it's become a little bit of a fireside chat as well, because there's so much emotional um, to deal with, as well as the nuts and bolts of writing. And as with any art form, there isn't a strict separation between the instrument, the writer, and the writing. um, it's all one thing. So let's talk about the unknown. I think that's what we're all struggling with the most right now, and hi Tony, living in times of great change, really strange days. Um, the unknown is the most difficult thing. I know, as somebody who's had plenty of therapy, um, I always have trouble with the unknown. I want to know. I want to figure it out. I want to address myself. I want to put all of my energy and attention into solving whatever problem it is, whatever is unknown. Um, it freaks me out, and my like, that's what makes me unique, huh? Um, And my shrink always would say, you need to feel comfortable sitting with not knowing. Somebody who, this is, in the dear long ago days before quarantine, um, a friend, I'd write a letter, not hear from a friend, have some kind of interaction with somebody I don't know well, and then worry about how they might have taken it, all that stuff, where I, as a very imaginative person, instantly, and I think, hi Toby, I think that many writers, many of you, being imaginative people, is particularly difficult in times of the unknown, because we can imagine the worst. We can really, really vividly imagine all the things that could go wrong. Hi, Jennifer. It really works to our disadvantage to be imaginative people at times like this, because we go to the end of the rainbow. We always are thinking, we can always picture absolutely the worst thing happening. And my shrink used to say, you could just sit with not knowing. You just don't know, and just let it be. You just don't know. I've been struggling for years with that one. Rationality says you just don't know, but my imagination is very good at creating worlds. And that's what I do, and what many of you do. So how do you pull back from that? How do you just live in a time where you just don't know? If anybody's read my Russian Revolution novels, time of tremendous change, everything turned upside down. It's every day I think of Marina, and there it is, the worry about the rations and the cholera and the crazy government, and can you trust what's being, what they're telling you, rumors in the breadlines. I really, boy, am I identifying with that right now. But what we try to do in times of not knowing is we find we're trying to control everything. Oh my God, don't leave the house. Don't go to the market. Don't go to the mailbox. We try to control, and in our society, we're active. We're not a contemplative society. We're an active society. And so we like to take action to solve the problem of the unknown. We want to nail it down. We want to take control. We want to act. We want to do something. And so in times where we can't do sweet FA, we anxiety ratchets up. So I want to pry open this moment like a flower. I want the uncertainty to be over. And I know that I have to wait and let things unfold the way they're going to. In Marina, keep thinking about Marina, the Revolution of Marina M. and Chimes, this character that I lived with for 12 years. She says, I'm a flea on a galloping horse, and I'm not controlling where it's going. I'm just on the horse. And it's a very bitter thing for a human being who, especially an active American who thinks that there are solutions to every problem, to just go, I'm on the galloping horse. I'm a flea on this thing. But in a way, the Stoics would say, if you're in a situation where you can't do anything about it, it should be a matter of indifference. Well, I don't think I'm ever going to become that enlightened or calm, Roman, about it. But just to keep my imagination from creating scenarios which mostly don't happen. I mean, I've discovered in my life, right? You can imagine the worst, but that's not what happens. Something else happens. So you really have wasted that imaginative energy dreaming up scenarios when something absolutely different is going to occur. So it brings us to the question of mystery, of the great mysteries of life, of the role of the spirit. I mean, there's something to be said for writing right now. And I'm not a great believer in writing as therapy. That's what your journal is for. I don't think writing is therapy. I think of it as an exploration, and it's always an exploration into the dark. And I don't mean dark material. I mean, you're in the dark. When you're writing, you have no idea where this is going to go or if it's going to go. You want somebody to reassure you. Is this going to be worth my energy? Is something going to happen here that's going to be worth the labor after years of work? Nobody's going to be able to reassure you on that ground. I have a collage somewhere. I'm going to turn my head on you. I'm sorry. A little bit. I have a collage of what this looks like to me, this writing thing. Let's see if I can find it. Basically, it's going into the swamps at night in a canoe, and you're in the mangroves, and you really have to, when you're writing, you are of not knowing. And many of us, the good thing about writing is that unlike life, you're never going to have to go to the ER, as a result of something that happens in your writing. The worst thing that happens is something doesn't work out, and then you have to pull it apart and go back to square one or square 15 or something like that. So actually, it's a place where the role of the mysterious, of the unknown, can be enacted in relative safety. This is the correct place for that imagination. And it becomes a refuge from the wild chaos of the real world. It's a place you can handle a bad turn. It's like a bad turn is part of it, and things happening is part of it. And so it is it's a place that you can make a bridge out of nothing, where you just don't know, and you walk out on a plank, and unlike walking out on your roof and jumping off the roof, you can do that in your writing. You can walk off the edge into the unknown in relative security that it's not going to be physically damaging. Um, and we do it, so we do it every day. It's a place we can be patient and open, and I don't know that it carries over into life. I think people can be very brave on the page and still, freaked out in real life. But having spent several hours in a more kind of in a laboratory like that, in a more focused place with different rules, and in a place the imagination is appropriately running wild, I think it sets you up better to come back into the real world feeling like you've accomplished something, feeling like you've put that crazy imagination to work in a constructive way, and being all that anxiety that you're using in the outer world has no place in your writing, because your anxiety doesn't help you at all in your writing life. It's just a choke, So you focus on releasing that anxiety. You're in a safe space. You're in the lab. You're in the studio of your mind. And it's a dance between control and not knowing. It's all creation. I had a colleague and dear friend, Les Plesko, a wonderful writer. Hi, Ruthie. And if you ever want to read something beautiful, man, his book about the Hungarian Revolution called No Stopping Train is a masterwork. It's beautiful. And he used to tell his students, don't have ideas, which was like a writer's zen, right? Don't have ideas. Well, that's an idea. How do you write without having ideas? But what he meant was, you have ideas, but hold them very lightly and notice what else is happening when you're working, and be willing and quick to release the idea when the actual living organism starts to breathe and move around. Notice what's going on that's alive, and be willing to release the idea, which is control versus the power of the unknown and the power of that mystery that will brew stuff. It's like my husband is making sourdough starter out of flour and water, and feeding it. It's like, how can this become yeast? How can this become, something that will make dough rise out of just, because there's stuff in the air that starts to permeate that and we're at a time of microorganisms, right? And it's not just that virus. I'm making compost in my yard, and that's microorganisms too. It's not, the micro level is not all dangerous. It's everything. It's tons of unseen stuff. And so not only are we doing dealing with the virus, but we're also baking more. We're making compost, we're gardening, we're joining that micro world. Because of this virus, it's forcing us back into the micro and seeing our relationship to the micro. So by opening up that space in your writing to allow whatever microbes are in the idea microbes are in the air to come and permeate this little thing that you are creating in your studio, your lab, that something really exciting happens. And it's the opposite of people who are very active. I know a lot of you are starting to write because you finally have the time. Um, and people who are used to active life try to bring that to their writing. It's like if I do 4,000 words, a day, and I keep this schedule, and I mean, that's very good. It's always nice to have a regular practice. But it's try to open your mind that what you're doing is just you're opening up a space, and that other things are going to come in. Unexpected things are going to come in. And, things are going to sprout that you did not plant. But they're innate. They're in the air that you are currently breathing, or they're in the soil that you've started to work with. And that's where the real excitement and the joy and the alchemy of writing, of any art form, but writing especially, is wonderful, because you don't need dance, big dance studio, or it's a very compact thing that happens here and happens here. And it becomes a dance because you make a place where you can be patient and open with yourself. You start with an idea, but like Les said, don't have ideas. Don't stick to those ideas too firmly. Notice more, notice what's happening. It's a dance between control and not knowing, because you have skills. That's control. You know to look for a shape, or look for meaning, or look for what's going on. That's a measure of control. But then there's a receiving and allowing and noticing and being open to these, things coming in from the left, from the unseen, from the darkness. You think of receiving rather than create. We like to be like creators, like Zeus, make this happen, but so much of an art form is more about listening. It's about listening. It's about receiving. It's about letting things. Hi, Micah. It's about receiving. It's about letting the world play you. What's coming in, listening, feeling. It's like, how do you know when you're making a friend? You come across a lot of people in a day. How do you know what's a friendship? First of all, some people are not open to friendship. Somebody sends them a little message in a vibe, and they're just like, hi, Christy. They're just, they deflect it. They don't want things coming in from the outside. But if people are open to friendship, if they're open to the randomness of this cool human being who's just decided that they want to, send you a little zing of energy, it's like, if you're open to that, you don't order a friend. You don't order a novel. You don't order a friend saying, hey, I have space for a friend. I'm kind of missing, having somebody like that, people like that, just send me somebody. No, and send me somebody like this, no. What happens is that you sense friendship. It's a receiving thing. You sense the presence of the other. And a lot of writing is like that. You sense it's out there coming in. And then you notice your own feelings. You notice, oh, that person, I get a warm feeling from them. It's like a special thing. It's like, oh, wow, cool. And then maybe you reach out a little bit. You say, hey, how's it going? I remember you from last time, and I really liked you. I always liked you. This is cool. And then there's a little bit more happening. Like hey, Valerie, it's like the sourdough is the starter is starting to take on stuff from the outside. And then it's like maybe you organize a drink, or you reach out. It's like, hey, let's have coffee. And then, or you find themselves on their Facebook page, you get to know them a little bit. And then so it's a place of growth and vitality, not knowing someone, not knowing what you're working on makes you more, you're feeling more. And that's more the activity of writing than going out and grabbing it. It just doesn't work that way. It's opening space. It's opening space. And it's sort of like prayer in a way. It's sort of like prayer in a way. I'm not a big prayer person. I don't know if I've ever talked publicly about my spiritual life, but I'm not much of a prayer person. I mean, if you read my books, there's normally a character who has something like this to say, which is a lot of prayer to me. Sounds like begging. It's like there's this big, powerful being, and you please, please, please. And I kind of think that's. I'm sure really religious people don't think this way, and I think I'm mistaken in my ideas. But that's how I perceive a lot of prayer. And I like the idea of prayer as holding space. If somebody's ill, I'm not going, please, 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 please let that person be well. I just don't feel like the universe is constructed quite that way. I think of it more like opening a space where I'm carrying that person around, and I'm just going to keep that person in my thoughts, in my mind, and try to energize that space for them and just carry that, carry that maybe in consciousness, maybe somewhat under the level of consciousness. So I think of it more as listening. The prayer is more like listening for tuning into the universe and staying aware and keeping that energy going. And I think that for me, that activates the space. And thinking about my writing is a lot like that. It's not like so much problem solving. How am I going to solve that problem? Is I'm going to stay in touch with that. I'm going to hold space for it. I'm going to stay in touch with it. I'm going to keep listening for and I want to say that this notion of gratitude is a good thing. Gratitude is great. I always think gratitude, like gratitude for safety. I'm grateful to be here and, safe and for the moment and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, what am I going to do with the goodness that is being given me at the moment? It's not enough. It doesn't end with you. That energy you can't store energy. I'm a Qigong practitioner, and one of the things that they teach is that you cannot store energy for yourself, in yourself. You only can store energy in other people. So that if I am operating in time of relative safety, it behooves me to use that time productively, not curl up in a corner, sucking my thumb, which, I sucked my thumb till I was 11. I can really go there. But, not to use it as a time to curl up in a ball. But if I can pull myself together and use the time to create something that will affect another person, to use the time, I feel pressure to, not pressure, I feel an urgency to do that. So one of the things that I've been doing this week is I've been starting a thing on my Instagram feed. Hey, Julie. I've been starting a thing on my Instagram feed of tiny things. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm Janet Fitch 323. Because there's a scale thing when you're stuck inside that reminds me of when I was pregnant with my daughter and stuck inside and huge and uncomfortable and not moving very quickly, and I couldn't, actively accomplish much. I didn't feel like it. But I found my attention to the small. Hi, Kat. My attention to the small has been heightened. My appreciation for physical life has been intensified in this time. So I've started putting up tiny things because everything is getting. It's like there is so much world, even if you're circumscribed. And Kat Gwynn, who's on here right now, has a book called 10 Mile Radius when she had cancer and she had to go to and from her radiation sessions. And she took photographs of the life of her life from the front door walking to the hospital like 3 or 4 blocks away, and how much life there was in there. So I'm doing tiny things, taking pictures of little tiny things and the beauty of the world, even when things are going to hell in a huge way, for a short time, hopefully, that you can still get so much more out of the world by changing the scale. So it's not like, oh, I can't do this. I can't just go to the store. I can't just go see my friends. I can't just go do something. To scale it down and really touch things, really look at things, really smell things, get really small. And so I think about texture and scent and color and light, all the things that we talk about in creating sensual reality on the page. I think, what if we were all like this forever and ever? We were on spaceships, we were, stuck in rooms, brain in a jar kind of thing. The thing I would miss most is the things of this world, the textures, the colors, the scent of the. So I challenged myself. Actually, one of my friends, I took a picture of orange blossoms. I have a little orange tree on my balcony, and the smell of it is overpowering. And one of my friends said, "Can you describe the smell of orange blossoms?" It's like, okay, throwing it down there. That's a challenge I am going to pick up. Because as we, know from creating the note, I've talked a lot about creating the notebooks and doing sense exercises, scent and color, texture, light, taste, sounds in your notebooks and using them in your work. So I did orange blossoms so that if we're ever stuck in rooms or on a spaceship and stuff, we can, here's my, I can assign this, do a scent. Find a scent in your home, in your garden, and try to describe it. Describe it in the language of architecture, describe it in the language of music, describe it in the literal, and then the synesthesic, which is describing. It's very hard to directly describe a sense impression. It's easier to use one sense to describe another sense. It's like, a brassy blonde, are you going to lose your hearing if you stand next to her? No, but we know what a brassy sounds like. So when we say a brassy blonde, we get it, right? So here's my orange blossom. So this is literal, intensely sweet, high in the sinus, honey, creamy, lingering, waxy, gummy. But then I'm starting, if it was music, what kind of music? A violin top note with a lot of tremolo, but also Van Morrison. There's a very sweet honey smell to Van Morrison. If it was architecture, a sugar Easter egg palace, the German Baroque, with all those cherubs and gold and stuff. In literature, an intense, possibly romantic experience on a small scale, the poetry of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, sort of orange blossomy, but also Fitzgerald. There's something about that golden 20s that he can picture. I can smell the orange blossoms. And then associations, nursery school, childhood, boys catching bees in wax paper bags on sunny mornings. They used to do that in elementary school, catch the bees, and the smell of clothing, a bridal or quinceanera gown with every ruffle an inch of lace, just that frothy white blossom, intensely sweet, or a parasol. The orange blossom special. It's a train. A mode of transport, a hot air balloon. A place, if it were a place, the San Gabriel Valley, which was Orange Grove Central back when my grandmother got here in the 20s. 1920s LA, it recalls sticky drinks, day drinking fizziness, dizziness, giggling, tipsy, fillet, words with short eyes. If anybody is a poet, this is how poetry works. You noticed all these words, dizzy, flit, giggle, sticky lip gloss, pirouettes, hummingbirds, the Edwardian era, La Belle Epoque, with the big hats and the parasols. Could go on, but making myself drunk. Pick a scent that's around the house and get into it. So if there stops being physical reality, that people on those long space voyages, that they will know what you're talking about when they just offer them something, offer them a bit of earth, a bit of the world. As it is, get it in a little time capsule for them. And in your writing, make sure in these times of physical circumscription a bit, that you take time to notice textures, flavors, scents. Not just notice, but pull them through into language, because noticing is just the first step. What is it? Carlos Williams said, observation is the first act of the imagination. So it's just the first act, though. And think about how lucky we are to live in physical reality. When I was teaching at USC, sometimes I had a real hard time getting my students to hang out together. I said, you know what? In 10 years, you might not be in a physical classroom anymore. You might not be able to go out for a beer after class. So take advantage of it now. Take an extra hour after class. And that class ended at 10. It was late, but it wasn't too late to have a drink. And when this is over, I hope we all, maybe it's not going to be mass concerts anymore, or, shoulder to shoulder, events like that. But to make time and spend more time in physical reality with one another while we can, when we can. And one thing I wanted to also to mention was, because scale, tiny things. We have 3 scales of landscape in writing. If you've seen my stuff on the senses and landscape in these Writing Wednesday videos. Writers often neglect the intimate level, which is the hand is the actor, so it's touch especially. But so think small too. Think very small, and put something very small into what you're writing. like every couple paragraphs. Make sure that someone touches something, this that something small is addressed, as well as what the room looks like or the sky. And then to finish up, there's been a bunch of online reading series. Keep an eye out, because amazing things are happening. Yesterday, Amber Tamblyn got together with a group of poets to celebrate the release of a Wanda Coleman anthology out of Godine Press, David Godine Press, which was the follow-up to Wanda Coleman's. It was originally published in Black Sparrow Press, which is a California press that had these beautiful editions, the kind of laid paper, the wove paper. They had heavy paper covers. They felt like a certain thing. And John Fonte is published in Black Sparrow, Wanda Coleman, Diane Wachowski, a wonderful California poet. Bukowski's books were in Black Sparrow. I love these writers, and so they've done an anthology of Wanda Coleman, and that was read live yesterday. Patricia Smith, Terrence Hayes, Rachel McKibben, Amber Tamblyn. There were like 8 of them, and for free. You just notice it and click in, and they're there doing it. I know that writers ex writers ex writers is what you look for. Not EX, just X, which is Pam Houston's an organization that she's founded, are doing live readings. There's a reading tomorrow and talk with Lydia Yuknovich, who's a very generous and interesting writer, and they'll be doing a series. Book Passage in Marin County is having a series of author talks, and she had Isabel Allende. It was out of this world. She is just a fireball, and wonderful to watch in times like this. She writes a book. She starts a book in January, every January, and she just finished something because she's been working so hard. Hi, Peggy. Hi, David. So Peggy was wondering how to get the reading, the Wanda reading. You should be able to find it. Look up Godine. Go to godine.com and look around and see. I'm sure it's still there. I'm sure they recorded it. Oh my God, Patricia Smith reading a Wanda Coleman poem called Wanda, Why Ain't You Dead? And everybody's like, Wanda, why are your feet so big? Wanda, I didn't mean that. Wanda, why don't you ever do this? Wanda, why don't you know men won't ever blah, blah, blah. And Wanda, why are you always so angry? And Patricia Smith doing it. It was fantastic. I recommend it highly. The other thing I'm watching now is Everyday Rufus Wainwright, a wonderful songwriter, a wonderful performer, who is locked down like the rest of us here in LA. And he's doing something called Quarantunes, where every day he sits in his bathrobe, and he has quite a selection of bathrobes, and he plays one of his favorite one of his tunes. And so there's a lot of stuff. And for me, just checking in with people who are still being creative. They're just as scared as us. They don't know what's going on, just like us. That the creative life continues because we are creative people. Hi, Laura Ann. Because we are creative people, we will generate work no matter what. And it's not to control the moment. We can't control the moment. We're still the flea on the galloping horse. But we can use the moment of relative safety. I just said a moment of relative safety because we don't know the future. But in a moment of relative safety, you can show your gratitude instead of going, gee, I'm so glad I'm safe, and not, like having problems that everybody's having. You can say, you know what, I have an obligation to use this moment because I'm safe temporarily. Let's use this moment. Let's use it. So grab the moment. Don't curl up in a ball. Doesn't show appreciation for, being what we are, having what we have. And use your all-powerful imaginations not to envision catastrophe after catastrophe after catastrophe, because what good is that doing anybody? But use the lab, use the studio, use your work, and put that imagination to work, and listen and receive, and let the yeast grow. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, but definitely use your senses. This is a very good time to use sense work. Use your notebook. So will you be doing this every day or just an occasional thing? Laura, I do this every Wednesday at noon. And there are about 60 of these talks, and they're here on my Facebook author page, but they're also on YouTube, and I'm regularly putting up archived material onto the YouTube. So there's about 60 of them. It's called Janet Fitch's Writing Wednesday. So write well, and have a decent day. See if you can make a little space for yourself. Okay, thank you. Bye.